I Am Greta is the main piece of work I'll be focusing on. A prominent figure in the movement to mitigate and stop climate change is Greta Thunberg, a Gen Z climate activist. In modern times, Greta can be, and has been, attributed to the face of the climate movement. Greta started the movement, Fridays for Future, in her home country of Sweden, which were school strikes performed by students that focused on putting pressure and urging politicians to act on the climate crisis. While Greta is generally seen as the face of the broader climate movement, there are certain aspects of environmental philosophy in which she focuses on. Greta specifically strives to drive home the lack of urgency she sees from institutions and politicians who have the power to act on the climate crisis. In her speech to the World Economic Forum at Davos, Switzerland, Greta states, "I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic and act as if the house was on fire." Greta sees the lack of urgency from powerful people and institutions as the main culprit for lack of action on climate change. Although Greta's goals regarding action are based in reality and practicality, she is not a promoter of incrementalism. Greta sees promises such as net zero by 2050 as goals that must not only be met, but enforced. She believes that these gradual goals, meant to be reached in the near future, do not do enough to meet the current crisis we are facing. Greta says that while institutions and leaders around the world make commitments in statement, they do so without actually acting on their pledges. She states that contrary to the multitude of promises made, global emissions are still on the rise. According to Greta, the burden of action is on the shoulders of world leaders who must be held to account if future generations are to have a decent quality of life. Greta believes that a shift in views is imperative to tackling climate change. Rather than thinking of the planet and nature as a separate and alien entity, we recognize that all life on Earth is dependent and interconnected. Greta wants people to realize that nothing on Earth happens in isolation, meaning every action has a consequence on something else. Ash from a volcano can travel through winds across the world and end up affecting air quality in a town or city thousands of miles away, for example. This shift in views can take place simply through the restoration of nature. Restoring natural habitats that have been deforested or deconstructed for human use, stopping deforestation and planting trees are all ways to strengthen our connection with nature. We need to stop seeing the planet as a pool of resources that are to be extracted and consumed for human use. These finite resources are being treated as if they are infinite, and the extraction has no impact on the planet's well-being and its ecosystems. Greta asserts that we are treating the Earth as if it is one of many. Hyperconsumerism is something Greta points to as a major problem. Consuming beyond necessity results in the wasting of resources, a rise in pollution and emissions, increased land use, and deforestation. Greta believes that in order to preserve the environment and move forward, we must adopt degrowth as a world policy, with Western countries specifically leading the way.
Now we probably don't even have a future anymore, because that future was sold so that a small number of people could make unimaginable amounts of money.